All right, here we go again. Buckle up. Another episode at the gym. Satan was attempting to block. Okay. So yeah, a lot of stuff comes in during the day when, and no pun intended, no other term. A lot of people don't realize what's going on. Like LDS people, you're using words that have a double meaning because you're not thinking sexual. But when you speak, I mean, look, I got left behind on language too, and the deep state used it against me. Right. So again, you're getting like left behind on language because you don't realize the, the double definition. Right. And if you do know the word, you don't think of it in that context. Well, you're obviously cursed to be sexual and to say sexual things. You just don't realize that you're saying it. Like you're saying, you use the word "come" a lot, and it's a sexual word, and it's put in places, really strange places. Right. And obviously, it's also a scriptural language. But again, as a seer, I can read it, and because I watch what they do to my language, I watch what they do to other people's language. Right. Thank you, Larry. There might be a general curse at this point. So a lot of stuff's coming in during the day. Something I wouldn't say it was totally sexual, but it did try to take that journey, and I don't take that journey. These two guys just woke up. After I said that, so it's pretty funny. Or as I was saying it, like turned to our right. I said, I don't take that journey. And it's two young people, two young males. Thanks, Larry. So, well, I couldn't quite figure it out, but it seemed like it was trying to. Again, I'm not very trusting of those things. So, in funds of caution, I kind of just shut it down. But I think maybe it was trying to possibly highlight an issue, but it did. It again. I think it's probably like when messaging comes in on this planet, it can have two or three sources per se. It's just there's a source and then there's interference, so you don't get 100% of what's being said. And I brought that up before. So Satan will twist it, and Satan's laughing from the television set. Right. Thanks, Larry. Well, there's stuff going on. So again, let's just get to the basic idea of what you're supposed to be doing. There's a lot to be done. You have the ordinances, all that. So what do you? Well, same thing I recommend for the Catholic Church. You should have healing teams, exorcism teams traveling. Well, in other words, for the bishop to remember to tell you to heal that stuff, and it's kind of awkward, right? But again, you get the real men in there, and they won't have a problem with it. You speak a little bit of TMI and let them know what's going on and how to heal it. They'll do it the best they can. But the best way to do it is to get an organization of people or a group of people together that are your healers, and you tell them that they have to heal all that stuff away. And again, remember, if you step up the plate to heal it, it could be the day before that it all skyrockets. So you could heal it and still have twice as many of those issues that you did before. But if you didn't heal it, you'd have 10 or 20 times the issues. So again, there's a lack of understanding of healing on this planet. This needs to assign people for healing it. Okay, we don't know the after the fact thing. That's horrible. Right. Well, I didn't even realize it. Like, well, what's his name? Was President Oaks was talking about the clothing the young ladies were wearing. I think he was addressing the young ladies. Maybe he was addressing everyone. Right. So that addresses one of the problems. Again, I'm not blaming the young ladies, but again, right, you know, if I had my druthers, I'd say something. And again, I'm not against you wearing shorts in a camping trip. I'm not, fundamental Baptist man. But when you're in church, there's no reason to show a bunch of leg, even if the girl's 15 or something like that, or 14, or even 10. Right. So, but what does that do? I mean, it helps, but the overall, and again, it helps how also being what's called modest and chaste. Again, I'm a sinner saved by grace. I'm not judging anybody, because if I don't say that, it gets crazy. Right. Thank you, Larry. So, back to where I was. So you have to heal it. So you should have a group of, I mean, you may have a group of people that are responsible for prayer, but I really, you need people like I don't know if anybody saw me, but when I was walking through the church, I was healing things as I was walking and healing people, men, women, children. You have to heal men, women, children, places, and things. That's the only way to fix it, because they're cursing you to it. Well, that shows that the ordinances don't always work like you think they do. Right. When my people called by my name turn and seek my face, but you really don't seek God's face. Again, I'm not gonna let Mr. Gregorio or brother or elder or whatever. Maybe one day, part of the quorum. I don't know. Looks like he's heading for the quorum, so we're trying to fix his mind a little bit. Thank you, there. So Mr. Gregorio there, he does some stuff. I already know. I know people, man, because God showed me people. He does some stuff because he does some stuff for selfish purpose. I mean, it's unselfish what he's doing if you look in the physical world, but he's doing it for selfish purpose. And we're all like that's why we all fall short of the glory of God. But again, the idea is to be aware of these things. Like, oh, you, Mr. Gregorio, whatever it is, you prayed for that man for 7 years and sent him text messages. Big deal. Who cares? All right. But again, we all have that side to us. Well, he generally cared about that person, but that. Well, what that does is that blocks your church. There's a mechanism in there that blocks your church from getting bigger and understanding more. Again, the idea of blocking your quorum from actually seeing more than what they see. Well, you have to be careful of the case system. And I know there's some, I have to find it. I have to find time to look at it. There is some, what they would call preaching, but, some speaking on other topics that kind of, again, the neutralization. And that's what I'm speaking about, the neutralization of certain things that go against the grain of what we're trying to do there. Oh my gosh. Well, you should have a team of healers, and they should be like, in essence. And again, it fits the LDS stuff. You just don't have it, like whatever your exorcism is. I'm not telling you to do Catholic rites or anything. No. Right. So they should show up for the church early. They should show up to church gatherings. Again, so your elders, your missionary those elder guys would be good guys for it. The guy that interviewed me for baptism, he'd be a good guy for it. He'd understand it, and right, he'd take to it. Right. I know they're already busy, but that's why I'm saying you might want to assign people to it, maybe even missionaries. They could travel the globe healing places. Huh. But again, each country would probably have its own cruise, maybe even each stake and ward. Well, they should show up for every church day, especially like every Sunday, heal the church, walk through the church healing it. And then, especially the youth things. Yeah, it's pretty scary. The thing I read, I don't know if I posted it. Oh, I don't know if I posted it. Well, these young girls were just, it seemed like it was a lot of it was teens also. Right. And the girls were younger than the teens. I would tend to believe that the boys were looking at porn online, and that's where they were learning it. Mhm. And the blip I received inside after I said, well, I realized that it's true from law enforcement was that, yeah, we've tracked several LDS groups, young people that were right actively looking at things. Right. Right. In today's world, you have to move in the affirmative. You can't just stop your children. You have to move in the affirmative and heal every people, places, and things. Right. Well, the subject matter is pretty intense. So to have that prayer, I mean, I could sit with the missionaries, like if they want to meet, or they want us to have a Zoom call again. So I could sit there and I could pray it, and they wouldn't care. Thank you for this, thank you for that, and Heavenly Father, I've read that there's issues with the youth, and probably even some adults, and it's you're probably more likely to find adults being protected. And again, I don't believe it's the entire system, but it happens everywhere. It happens in law enforcement. Mhm. Like people that did me, they're all protected. They shouldn't be protected. Right. Thank you, Larry. So uh, they could pray these things, or they could utter the words. Right. So if they go in and when they open the church, they go in and they heal the church, or the meeting house. Now the temple theoretically stays healed. I don't know if there's any allegations that anything has ever happened in a temple. I think that would be beyond anybody that would be there. Right. I agree. Mm, thank you, sure. Well, I think we're looking at meeting houses, and we're looking at home services and home gatherings, which are great. But apparently, when the girls go to change, there's some boys that are barging in or something, and doing whatever they're doing. Sometimes they're sexual about it. Right. Mm. Now, one of my theories is this: that when we see young people doing that, again, we have the internet now, so the theory's not as strong as it's been over the years. But if we have a young person molesting another young person, usually that means that somebody molested the the uh, the aggressor when they're young, and then they just repeat it around someone else. And when we're looking at a boy, a young boy, could be trying to get his manliness back by visiting it on a girl where he had a man do it to him or something like that. And then again, it could be a woman. Nowadays, we're finding a lot of women are doing that. Thank you, Larry. Have to heal that young lady because women are doing that. But it doesn't mean that it's happened. It could mean that it's coming up. Right. She would be. The inference is she's going to be taken advantage of. Thank you, Barry. Mm. The system is isolating people and making them vulnerable. And there are very wealthy people moving that system within the United States. That's another. See, so again, that's an adjacent healing the healers can engage in is that loneliness is removed from people so they don't become susceptible to unwanted or incorrect sexual advances. Thanks, Larry. So I got to move somewhere. It's all coming up everywhere. It looks like it says big roofs. it, Kansas City? That doesn't look right. Okay, I know where to find it. Looked like Salt Lake City at first, but it just, I'm not sure. I'm getting older and my health isn't the best, so just not sure what that answer is. There. Now I had plans. They know because, like, when I talk on the phone to my brother about my plans, then they get in the middle and mess it up. They're metaphysically moving, and then everything else. So let's get back to the topic. So they need to be protected by prayer and healing. Again, healing is a little different than prayer, and exorcism is a little different. But they're all types of prayer. No, it's definitely demons, and it's definitely possession and spells. That's pretty intense, and it's picked up since I started reconnecting with the church. So again, it could be a connection to the church, or it could be the people watching us all and projecting. Thank you, Larry. Well, you're going to find that same thing. Like people say, well, it's the LDS church, they're projecting people. Well, you're going to find that same system a lot of different places, just like the Osceola or whatever, Osceola, whatever his name is, county sheriff there. I guarantee people saw that system before they started investigating it and just, protected him. Right. And like I said, he was really like a cocky person. He was kind of, obviously Jesus saves, and there's people that are criminals that are going home to heaven, or they were possessed into a crime, and all of that type of thing. What happens is there's law enforcement. You have to listen to law enforcement. Oh, he's supposedly a Christian, and look what he's doing, and all of this kind of stuff. Law enforcement officers will curse people when they're Christian, and curse them harder than everyone else because they're angry. Right? Angry at what? Angry at just the idea that somebody goes to church. I mean, they're just weird. They're, number one, they're devils. Number two, they're crooks. Stealing their paycheck if they're doing that kind of stuff to begin with. Right? Thank you, Larry. Not sure what I'm going to do as far as. I wonder why everybody's back here next to me now. It's like Satan's stance, I guess. Because it makes more noise around where I'm recording. I moved myself where there was nobody. Now the other lane that I was in has nobody, and now this area has everybody. No, it's definitely what they're doing. It's definitely what's happened. So again, when you look at Mark 5, and it's funny, Luke 10, I always point to that, and they have the 70. I'm actually part of Jesus 70, but I guess, LDS Church has its 70. Right. No, I always Luke 10, I guess. I always quote Luke 10. Don't do that to me because that's the problem is that Luke 10 kicks in with the curses, and Jesus uttered curses there. Is that's what that is? Wait, where's all these people coming from? I got no idea. It's Friday night. I would have thought it'd been quiet in here. Right? Way busier than yesterday. If they get rid of the fan and the other one, the fans in the other one, I'd go over there to work out all the time. Right. The other option is so that same group would get a list of all the functions that the local wards and stakes that were pertinent to their jurisdiction uh, are where they're responsible for, and then they could heal that like you see like a list and heal each one individually. I haven't gotten deep into whatever the problem is as far as how many cases are there. I mean, based upon the structure within the LDS Church, based upon uh, just as much activity that youth engages in, there's going to be a certain level. The level doesn't seem to be beyond. It actually, again, we don't know what the real number is, but it tends to be a lower number than I would suspect. I think. Well, because there's just a lot of interaction there. There's a lot of people that hate. So they hate on your church, and that's part of what hits their mind. Well, I know they're probably all perverts, right? So that's actually a curse. They're cursing you that. Overland Park's a bad area too. Bad area to be for it. It doesn't have much protection when it comes to a lot of things, including sexual protection, even though they consider themselves conservative. Because a lot of times conservatives are trying to put somebody out or mess somebody up by making that happen, right? They're devils, conservative devils are the same as liberal devils in reality, in reality, in reality, reality in. And it's just kind of not really where I want to be working out. I was hoping to have some space. Can't believe this is going on. No, it's like I've been working out for a few days now, and there's been nobody like this number. Fridays are usually dead. I remember most, Planet Fitnesses generally die down after, right? At this point, because everybody's getting ready to go out, so they just kind of go home and chill. But some people, I guess, have a different idea. So my advice is the same as the Catholic Church. Get your people out there, specifically focused on these type of things, as far as healing, prayer, supplication. Well, we don't need to belabor it where everybody in the church has to sit through a prayer of that. Right. I mean, there may come a day where it does need to be that. Out of prayer, out of mind, maybe kind of thing. Now, I have my phone here, and I was going to actually get somewhere. Well, at least I thought. Now I was going to talk about some stuff for the Trump administration. but I don't believe that this is. It hit me with that 30-minute thing. I gotta go. Start again. Manual. Actually, maybe I'll go over there on the end. Might be quieter. I'll wipe down this machine later. Oops. Oh, it says cell phone conversations in lobby only. I don't know if I'll be able to broadcast. All right. Nobody's complained yet, I guess. I guess the deep state will be in to do that. That would really put a notch in this. All right. Maybe that's why they came around me. Could be already in the making. Could be just fictitious reasoning, like, oh, we're just happening along, but all right. Yeah, people that do that kind of stuff are so corrupt, it's not even funny. Do anything to stop the reparation of the world. They believe they need to have their business active. It doesn't need to be fixed. They just need to make money, saying they're saving the world while they're breaking it. All right. Nah, they're sick people. They're very sick people. Nah, they'll filter people in one by one until they're all around you, and then they all make a complaint. It's one of their scams. Sometimes they'll actually, ingratiate themselves to the people running the gym. Sometimes they become the people running the gym. Right. It's kind of like that Osceola sheriff, same type of thing. Hopefully they don't buzz me for it. I'm off by myself. I mean, just like people having conversations while they're working out. Right. Have a conversation with the world. Thank you, sir. Well, no, Elon needs to get somewhere, right? And then maybe he can come back into the fold like he was before. Right. Correct. Well, I mean, one of the reasons they pushed him away was exactly what happened the other day. And then, right, I mean, it's killing his businesses. I mean, it's not rational to do that and then lose whatever percent they lost. Right. So again, rational. Right. Look, I'm not Elon Musk. I don't have a cent to my name, really. Living paycheck to paycheck because you all destroyed my life. Thanks, sir. Well, there's a certain point where his contracts are going to have to be looked at if he keeps going. Right. It's not free speech. These are high level contracts, right? We all know he's already been investigated for issues with, the contractor issues. Right. And this isn't helping it. Well, they could force him to turn over his businesses or lose the contracts. So he should voluntarily step away from nonsense. He needs to get help somewhere. Thanks, Larry. I mean, if I was making like $90,000 a year, I'd have been fine. So again, I don't need a billionaire money to be fine. He's got billionaire money. He can't stay in the right direction. And again, some of the things that went on could be investigated in the next presidency, could be investigated in the next House. If they get the speakership back, it'll be investigated, I'm sure. Thank you much. Again, the defense isn't going to be, but look what you were doing. That's not how it works. Right. I won't be able to broadcast from the spa though. All right. Look, now everybody's crowding me over here. Now, a dude that was directly next to me is gone. Just so sad. I lost 5 years of Planet Fitness and actually 6 years of Planet Fitness. And on and really, I didn't have that much massage in the last 10 years, even though I had a few here and there. Right. It's the only reason I got sick. Again, that was their psyop and their psychological torture. I don't know the Mars Service is a darn thing. They unprotected me from day one. The whole Justice Department operation is skewed and evil as well as criminal. Well, the one woman was like 40, right, when she was younger. So that one was probably before the internet or just too early for it really to be the internet. So most likely the boy that did it was most likely also a victim, right? Just, emulating the adult. Well, it's just like, as deputy marshals, we don't get, you usually don't get around the interaction of attorneys and clerks and interns and stuff. But I was like, they try to, like, they have victims, they're like, oh, I'm the guy that's the troublemaker, as they psyop me for 30 years. Or actually, then it was probably only 20 years. But, right. I got into a judge's chambers, and an attorney was in there, a newer attorney. But apparently, they all, like, some of the interns and stuff knew him from the mixing, at the parties, probably Federal Hill or something. And I could just tell the way they were talking, what was going on there. Right. Trying to make his next move, Right. So again, it's all BS. Still BS, I'm sure. Right. All right. Stay peaceful. Praise God. And all to do. Praise God.